This is Gotham TV Podcast, episode 78, where we return for Gotham Season 3, Episode 1, Better to Reign in Hell.
Hey, this is Drew Powell. I play Butch Gilzine on Gotham, and you are listening to Gotham TV Podcast.
Welcome back, Gothamites. That was Drew Powell, and we are here, surprise, surprise, sooner than we thought, with Gotham Season 3, Episode 1, Better to Reign in Hell.
Yeah, this is a bit of a shocker. RTE2, our local broadcaster in Ireland, decided to air Gotham Season 3, Episode 1, this last Sunday at 1:30 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, we've been waiting for Gotham to return on Channel 5. It's been gone since late last year. And suddenly, out of the blue, it pops up in our feed that it's on RTE2. So we're back with our first podcast of the new season of Gotham.
Absolutely. It comes back at a ridiculous hour. They obviously believe that it is so hardcore, so X-rated this season of Gotham that they need to not only put it after the 9 o'clock watershed, but put it after the normal going to bed watershed of about 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Yeah. So,
beyond the witching hour.
Absolutely. So it must be a crazy season.
Absolutely. And in true Gotham TV podcast style, when we started to record our intro, we had some technical difficulties. So this is a re-record. So there will be some slight sound differences between this and the rest of the episode. Hope you don't mind. It's a really fun discussion.
Yeah. So back to the Mad City. Is the subheading, the tagline for this first half of season 3.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to be getting the Mad Hatter this season, I believe.
Mad, and crazy along with it as well. Mm-hmm. We have Babs and Tabs being nutty in their own bar this time as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've been recording Gotham. If you're listening to us on our Gotham TV podcast feed, you probably see the last episode you were listening to was Suicide Squad review, which was at the end of last summer. We're now back with our coverage of Gotham. If you're listening to us over on our main feed over on TV Podcast Industries, you'll see we've also been covering all the stuff over for the Marvel Studios side of our podcasts with Luke Cage all the way up until the end of 2016. And right now we're covering Iron Fist. We're about episode 10 now, I think. We have been pretty busy. Just not in the Gotham world, unfortunately, but really glad to be back.
Absolutely. We are back. And if you want to find us, if you want to subscribe or leave a review, please head on over to our website and to iTunes, gothamtvpodcast.com/iTunes, where you can subscribe and listen to us every week talking about Gotham.
Yeah. And if this is your first time joining us, it's really good to point out that I'm Derek.
And I'm John.
Yeah, just in case, just so you don't get the voices confused. He's the English one, I'm the Irish one. That's the easiest way to tell us apart.
Yep, and that's the way to tell us apart. And of course, you can also join us on Twitter. We are at Gotham TV Podcast. Mm-hmm. So come along, follow us, join in the tweets, and get involved in the community over here in Ireland.
Yep.
And of course, we also have our Facebook page and Facebook group. Just head over to facebook.com/Gotham TV Podcasts.
Absolutely. And we'll be chatting much more about the show. We've been trying to steer clear of our social sites for the last couple of months because, unfortunately, as you probably tell, Gotham in the UK and Ireland is a bit behind and we just didn't want to get spoiled. Because it's much easier to talk about the show if we haven't seen any of the future episodes, isn't it? So,
absolutely.
So we know nothing about the rest of the season. All we know is it is called Mad City. It is going to feature a lot of the Mad Hatter, and we've now seen season 3, episode 1. So I think it's about time we should be jumping into season 3, episode 1, John.
Exactly. For those of you who have just joined us, and listening to us for the first time, but even if you are long-time listeners, we are doing our 5 points, but it is our joint 5. Mm-hmm. We're doing joint 5 points along with a bullockism. And Derek has a special announcement for the bullockism.
Yes, we will be starting our competition for this season with our bullockism of the week. We're going to kick it off by giving you our couple of bullockisms at the end of this episode. But it's going to start off with a prize, which is a Harvey Bullock pop vinyl. So all that you need to do to be in with a chance of winning that is send us your bullockism from each episode of the series as we go. as we go through, we get to about episode 11. I think we're gonna get through the first half of the season, and once we get to that, at that point, we'll decide on a winner. Just choose it out of the hat. Anybody who sent us in their Bullockism of the week. It doesn't matter if you duplicate. Everybody that enters will be entered into the hat. You can do that by tweeting us over at Twitter on at Gotham TV Podcast, or of course emailing us at our email address, which is feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think with that, on with the show.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, what are your production notes for this episode?
Yes, so this episode, Better to Rain in Hell, was written by John Stevens, one of the main showrunners for the show, and also directed by Danny Cannon, who tends to direct the first couple of episodes of each season. He tends to either direct the first or last episode. So yeah, some of our mainstays of Gotham, the real people behind the show, involved in the first episode. And they had a lot to do to kind of set it back up for a brand new season and see where we're going. John, do you want to tell them what they gave us for this episode?
Sure. 6 months after the last sighting of Fish Mooney, Lee has moved on with a new man in her life, and Gordon has become a bounty hunter, tracking down the Arkham Asylum escapees. Penguin, concerned about Fish's return to Gotham, puts $1 million bounty on Fish, dead or alive. Meanwhile, Bruce's mysterious doppelganger is lurking around Gotham City and learns of Bruce's identity from Ivy, who mistakes him for Bruce. Gordon, with the help of the enthusiastic reporter Valerie Vale, tracks down Stranger's assistant Ethel Peabody, but she is captured and killed by Fish. A suspicious Ivy spies on them and is caught. Fish orders her killed, ignoring Selina's protests, but she runs and falls down a sewage pipe after being touched by one of Fish's associates, Marv, who can accelerate a person's aging process. Bruce and Alfred return to Gotham and call a meeting with the Wayne Enterprises Board of Directors, where Bruce threatens to disseminate his evidence pertaining to the cabal in charge behind the scenes unless he is contacted by them within 24 hours. The Court of Owls, however, have other plans and sends an unknown assassin to Wayne Manor to kidnap Bruce Wayne.
Lots going on.
Lots going on in this episode.
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
I think we pretty much touched against every single character from the show. The city of Gotham is brand new, opened again to us. Everybody gets their scene. Lots of stuff going on. But as John mentioned, we're going to go into our 5 points about the episode. The way we do it normally is that each of us take 5 points. We're actually going to pare that down this season and have 5 points between us. So the first of the points, big one really coming off last season, is Bruce going after the Court of Owls, taking the fight to the Court of Owls in this episode. Great scene, I thought, in Wayne Enterprises.
Yeah, it really is something that you would expect Bruce Wayne to do, to show up and kind of take the board of directors off guard. I mean, we saw that, say, in Dark Knight Returns and so on, where he pretends he's having a snooze. You really see him, like, playing to their preconceptions of him. Mm-hmm. Here, it's not necessarily that. It's definitely, they just think he's a kid, but this is a clever kid, one who's growing up very fast and one who is very, very smart.
Absolutely.
And it was absolutely great seeing him tackle the board of Gotham along with Alfred. I mean, where Alfred picks out the guy who is effectively saying, I'm not listening to this kid, I've got better things to do, and he puts him in his place. Again, it's a nice little throwback, as you say, to reigniting the characters in Gotham, reintroducing the audience with the characters. It's been a long time, and certainly, if you're in Ireland and the UK pace, then it's been a long time since the last, episode of Gotham. So this is a huge episode just simply for introducing everyone back into Gotham, how they've changed, how they've moved on since season 2.
Yeah.
And this was really firmly bringing Bruce and Alfred as this great team back together. And of course, we learn from this that they have also been away for the last 6 months. Mm-hmm. They've escaped Gotham to put some distance between the events of season 2 with Bruce's kidnap and near sacrifice, not his own sacrifice at his own will, but obviously from Galavan. Yeah. So a really good little scene here.
Yeah, they were off in their cabin in Switzerland again, the famous cabin in Switzerland. I wonder will we ever see that?
I doubt we will.
It's just the place they send them off to. Yeah, no, it was really cool actually to see Alfred getting Bruce's back as well in this case. What we'd seen a couple of times last season was Alfred and Bruce butting heads against each other, but it seems like Alfred's all in now. It seems like he's going to back up Bruce in whatever plan he comes up with and whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, pancakes seemed like a perfectly good choice to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Another good plan, but stick by Bruce for.
But the good thing here is we do get a little glimpse of one of the owls from the Court of Owls, and of course this unknown assassin. And I think our giant leap here, probably not the biggest of leaps of imagination or theory, is that this is certainly an earlier version, or a less suited version of the famous assassins from the Court of Owls, which is the Talon, or Talons, because he is sent after Bruce and Alfred to deal with them. So actually, at that moment when she gives the order, the head of the Court of Owls, you actually think he's out to kill them.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's an attack on them. Certainly Alfred, you're kind of there going, oh, is he going to end up in hospital with a stab wound again?
Yep.
I was thinking, oh no, I don't think he got stabbed.
No, he was beaten and knocked out.
Yeah. But he got a pretty tough beating, so presumably he'll be in hospital again.
I just hope his insurance is paid up. This is, what's his 5th time in hospital now?
He can probably head back to the UK and go on the NHS.
Very true.
So that's not too bad for him. But Bruce is kidnapped, so we have to wait to see what happens to old Brucey.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, just in case you aren't a comic book reader, or in case you haven't read the excellent storyline, the Court of Owls, or the City of Owls, by Scott Snyder. It's such a good storyline. Have a read of it, but yeah, Talon is heavily featured in there as one of the main characters, so well worth reading that if you want to know a bit more about that character. On to point number 2, John.
Definitely. Jim and his new job. Is he a bounty hunter, or is he now an alcoholic? Is he a drinker?
You can drink at any time of the day you want to.
This was a lot of drinking from Jim. Oh, a lot of threats to go to the bar. Maybe it was just to throw Valerie Vale off the scent to get her away from him so that he could have some peace, go after Fish Mooney himself. This was really Jim in a new light. Definitely likes his bar, likes his drink, is a bounty hunter, rounding up the escaped mutants, I suppose, from Arkham Asylum, or experimental subjects. He's certainly had a kick in the midriff from Leslie. It was interesting. I wondered whether it was a dream sequence at one stage, because there was a moment where it looked like it was him. It was Jim Gordon in this lovely kind of picturesque, sort of quaint, Hamptons-esque type of East North American sort of house, lovely neighborhood, the veranda, the painted wood, all this kind of stuff going on.
It struck me as something out of kind of the 50s Perfect House or sitcom kind of thing.
But Leslie was drinking as well, so they've basically all hit the bottle. That's what's happened since season 2. Things got so bad, they've all hit the bottle, and they need a bit of a wake up from this mad city to really get them back on their game. But Leslie, is another ex of Jim's. He's racking them up here at this stage. So we'll see. Will he have another love interest in this season?
Never know.
Will him and Crazy Babs reignite themselves, hook up, Will Leslie come back? Will she be back in the mix? Will it be... Will he go after Tabitha, or will Valerie Vale be the new big interest for Jim, or will it just be the drink that is his new sidekick? I mean, one of the great things I loved here actually was how Captain Barnes really, again, that relationship that started out so well in season 2 really disintegrated from Jim's lies, but also Jim's feeling of Barnes restricting him and not really being able to get the job done.
Yeah.
That all kind of came out again, in this episode. And I thought that was a really good way to show that, their relationship really still hasn't been, sorted out at all, and that it's even impacting Harvey's as well now. It seems as though Harvey did a really good job there, whilst Captain Barnes was out, recovering from his near-death experience.
Mm-hmm.
And he still seems to be struggling with that as well, and that's kind of an interesting thing to see. Like, he's on a crutch.
Yeah.
He seems to have a really bad cough. He's struggling. He is struggling. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Is this a long-term deterioration of Captain Barnes, or is this just, at this moment in time within the season?
Yeah. I definitely love the idea that even though Jim Gordon doesn't work for him anymore, it doesn't save him from the dressing down that he used to get almost every week from Barnes. He's still brought into the office. He's still told at the end of it to get out of his sight. So, there's nothing Jim can really do to stick out of Barnes's sights.
Well, they're paying him $5,000.
That is true.
Per asylum experiment subject.
So he's doing a pretty good job as a bounty hunter. Harvey calls out that he's already captured 5 of the
5 or 6
former inmates. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
He's bringing it in, and then of course we have Oswald's bounty on fish, and here's the third point that we have really from this episode is Oswald's desperation to catch Fish Mooney.
Yeah.
He is absolutely obsessed with her, and he's wondering why she didn't kill him. He's probably wondering, what did she do? He breaks into a police press situation and basically tells them that she is the enemy, to go after them and to really don't listen to the police. He's telling directly to the press that it is her that is the enemy here.
Yeah.
As she's organizing all the asylum escapees into an organized band. And of course they're going after the pharmacies and the drug plants. So this is really interesting, seeing Oswald as desperate as he is. He's really potentially overthinking this.
Yeah, I do like that he's using the press. I think that's a really cool idea. For some reason, it just reminded me of season 3 of The Wire, that they've gone through the good guys, bad guys, and now they're going to the press as the 3rd season. I think that's quite an interesting idea.
Interesting call. I wouldn't have necessarily paralleled The Wire and Gotham.
Hardly ever. But it's just the concept of going into season 3 with the press at its core, now having Valerie Vale as what seems like a main character in the show. So
which one's Bubba?
No other comparison will be made to The Wire this season, I promise. But I also love that his brand new confidant is now Ed. He is going to Ed Nigma to kind of allay the fears that he has as to why is it that Fish didn't kill him when she had him dead to rights. He was knocked dead on the ground at the end of season 2, yet she let him go. So
it's an interesting one, and I mean she calls it back as well when she is confronted by Jim in, is it Cray Pharmaceuticals? When she's confronted there by Jim, she even says, "I let that punk live." So maybe she is just being nice about it, or does she have an ulterior motive? And does that touch that she did at the end of season 2 on Oswald, will that have some kind of residual effect? Like, whenever she meets him again, will she be able to control his actions because she has touched him? Because she didn't order him to do anything, so we don't know yet. So that will be really interesting to see what happens. Touched by the fish was Oswald, and
well, we do know the control doesn't last forever, because she did have to touch Ethel Peabody again to control her for the second time, because she had her under control for
presumably
a very quick
not
moment.
then
So,
on that basis.
But I wonder, did she make Oswald do something at the time, perhaps, that he doesn't remember, or something like that we might catch up on later on in the season? But I do love the fact that Ed and him finally had this discussion. Everybody has been talking about this since season 1, since we first saw Fish and knew Penguin was in the show. I remember we did our first interview with the cast, and I think the question was asked there and then, well, they say Penguin eat fish, and now it's actually been incorporated in the show. So we finally got the line. It is now written into Gotham stone that Penguin eats fish. So
it makes it into the show, absolutely. And I really enjoyed the puzzle as well. I loved that Oswald was there going, a mathematician went mental over this, it drove him crazy.
This is passed down through the generations for
because
somebody
it's
to
so
solve.
difficult, and Ed does it like that.
Yeah.
Really, really good just seeing that little interaction between these two fantastic characters. But we only saw Ed Digmer fleetingly here.
Yes.
Although they both do have the same thing or the thing in common, or at least they think they do, which is that they feel that they're surrounded by crazies and morons.
Idiots, yes.
Which was really, really, that was funny. That made me laugh, actually.
Absolutely. And we see
Definitely.
Ed is still inside, obviously inside Arkham Asylum. He's still not gotten out. So, being locked up at the end of season 1 and being there for another 6 months afterwards, probably is driving Ed to a bit more madness than we would have seen in season 2 and 1 before. So,
but no replacement for Hugo Strange yet. That is a job post that they cannot fill. Or will they?
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Who can replace Hugo Strange? Like, he was so good, in season 2, but he is still around and he is being kept undercover in hiding. So somewhere, but we don't know yet.
Yes.
But I suspect that Fish Mooney, and this moves us on to point 4.
I like
will be tracking him down, as this is her quest, it would seem. This is Fish's quest. She wants these powers to be permanent.
Yeah.
She doesn't want them to be degraded every time she uses them. And so she is after Hugo Strange because she has found out from Ethel Peabody, rest in peace. That was really, I wish they had kept her around, a bit longer, but we'll get into that in a minute. But I mean, ultimately, she was captured, Ethel Peabody, and Fish extracted not only information from her that Hugo is being kept by the GCPD in a safe house somewhere, but also that he is the only one that would be able to make these changes permanent, whereas they have been looking for different drugs and tablets in order to try and prevent this degradation of their powers, I think. But it's not just information that they take from Ethel. It's also her life, her youth, by Marv, who has the power to, effectively kill people by aging them.
Yes, very cool.
Very cool.
Idea, and looks amazing.
Really good.
Especially when he does the guard earlier on. It almost had that moment of, Indiana Jones Last Crusade kind of thing.
That would have been even cooler if, like,
the hair
complete, complete skull at the end of it.
That would be quite cool. But I do like the power, and that power does play into our final big moment for Poison Ivy as well, doesn't it? Marv does grab her before she goes into the sewers. So, very likely that, it is the other thing we know about the series. We will not be getting to see Claire Foley again as Poison Ivy.
Yeah, that's probably the last we'll see of Claire Foley as well as Ivy Pepper. So,
as she screams and falls into the water,
So that's another one of the original season 1 gone now at this stage, and a really, really good seeing, Ivy Pepper, Claire Foley, as the younger Poison Ivy. Yeah. And, it's an interesting way that they've done this change to age her that, it's because of the touch from Marv. So in some ways it probably will work out quite well in the end. Because we were wondering how they were going to do it, how this change was going to take place. And to me, this seems perfectly in the craziness and mad hatteriness of Gotham. This seems perfectly acceptable.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm so glad it wasn't the kind of exit stage left and then in walks Maggie Gyllenhaal as Poison Ivy, 5-6 years older than she is, without having any time with Claire Foley. So great that they got a full episode out of Claire Foley.
Definitely.
We still haven't seen the new Ivy. She'll hopefully be on the next episode or maybe the episode after that. But yeah, it was great to see that they do give an in-story reason for her to be aged.
Yeah.
At least.
And she gets, her final episode, and she gets some good interaction with Selena.
Mm-hmm.
She gets some interaction with the doppelganger as well. So really good.
Yeah. And some interaction with Fish, which I thought, I have to say, I loved that scene with her where Selena's trying to get her to shut up, going, no, you won't tell anybody at all. And she's like, I'll tell everybody if you don't let me go. And Selena's just like head in hands going, oh, if you hadn't said that, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
Really good. Really good.
Killer Marv, killer.
But yeah, I'm really interested to see the quest now for Fish Mooney. That's kind of a change from last season. Obviously, she was in prison last season. She knew she had powers, but she's grown into them over the last 6 months. She doesn't want to lose them. She doesn't want to be just cured and be Fish Mooney again. She wants to be cured and keep the powers, which I think is a little bit of a change from last season and an interesting quest to follow Fish on for the next couple of seasons.
Absolutely. And I mean, it'd be interesting if she survives this quest and she does get these powers, what will be her thing then? What will be her relationship with Gotham? Importantly with Oswald. I mean, I suspect, really what we've seen here in this first episode is Oswald has gone from, he still wants to get at Tabitha, because she killed his mum.
Mm-hmm.
I find it a bit strange that still isn't maybe an overriding element here at this moment, given how obsessed he was with Theo Galavan, and getting revenge on him.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that they have created this situation now where effectively the focus is back on Fish again. And he has put Tabitha to the back of the list, unless Butch Gilzean, does, give him the go. There's a bit of this relationship breakup, and is it on, is it not, with Butch and Tabitha? But he's effectively given Tabitha a stay of execution until he feels, or Butch tells him, that Butch is no longer interested. And this is the only reason why she's still alive. So it's an interesting one that they're doing it like that. And I suppose we'll see how it plays out over the episodes. But, it is strange.
I'm presuming it's not going to last too long, but that is our final point. Tabs and Babs Quub.
The Quub.
The sirens.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
The Quub, yeah. No, the sirens. We've got Babs and Tabs. I wonder if there's a bit of Butch in there as well,
Absolutely.
I wonder if they really are separated, Tabitha and Butch. There was a knowing little kind of glance and smile between them as Oswald sort of moves off, saying that, until Butch says you've finished, you're alive, and that's the only reason I'm not going to kill you. Just as we've kind of discussed there. So it'd be interesting now to see what happens. Definitely,
yeah, absolutely. My favorite piece just about them having a club again in the show is one of the things I loved about season 1 was Oswald's. I loved having the live bands and having some great 80s rock pop music on display as we went into the club. The intro to the Sirens Club is the fantastic tune. I Know What Girls Like. No. The other one, I Know What Boys Want, by the Waitresses. It's one of the lines.
Yeah.
I knew it was. It's a great tune and a great introduction to these two characters who generally use sex as a weapon. It's a great idea that the opening song that you see them in their brand new club is I Know What Boys Want. That's the tune they're playing as they go in. So a great opportunity for the showrunners to be able to put some of the bands that used to play on Oswald's back on a stage in a club, and to play all that great music that they are so well known for in the first 2 seasons of the show. So that was my favorite introduction that we've seen to characters on the show. Also, obviously having Babs go a bit crazy with the gangsters as they arrive.
That was excellent. And that was so good.
Absolutely. And then Tabs cutting the throat of 2 of them was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope this relationship, Babs and Tabs, lasts, because from what I've seen so far in the Sirens Club, it's absolutely fantastic. It's the new bar. It's the same old crazy and the same old violence. It really does, I think, keep the consistency with these two characters. I love the interaction that they have with Oswald and Butch.
Yeah.
strange as I think the Oswald Tabitha aspect of it is, but it's something that I think is interesting, and with the music as well. And yeah, those scenes with the gangsters, really good. I mean, you have he's there with his broken nose and he's got quub. What's a quub? What, quub? And then just the thing with the cherry as well. Fantastic. I mean, absolutely spot on. Crazy Babs. New bar, same old crazy, but same old good crazy.
But I love that the craziness comes with the fact that she knows what's going on here. She's worked out in her head. I know there's no reason why these guys would come and attack our club if it wasn't for Butch. I think Butch has been let off very lightly by Oswald. I suppose he did cut off his hand. He's got to make up for that a little bit. Oswald does. He does have to make up for that a little bit with Butch. And it is his left-hand man, we say now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I suppose he's allowed a little problem, but this would not be ever a plan that would enter Oswald's mind.
And he's proven his loyalty ultimately. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It is 6 months down the line. Mm-hmm. I presume Butch also obviously knows that Fish is back, yet he's still next to Oswald.
Yeah, true.
So he's not gone searching for Fish Mooney to get back, in with her, to maybe be her left-hand man, but it's definitely, he's stuck with Oswald, and maybe Oswald's just repaying that loyalty. Yeah. It'll be really interesting to see whether that relationship and that complication comes back in again within this season. I mean, it really will.
Definitely. That's our top 5 points for this episode.
Overall. But we do have a Bullockism.
Of course we do. We in fact have 2 for this episode because we both have 1 each.
We do.
I think John's a little bit better than my one. But I'm going to start with mine because it comes a little bit beforehand. Mine is in the early scene with Jim and Harvey in the GCPD chatting away. Harvey says to Jim, "I don't like to pry." Jim says, "Sure you do." And Harvey goes, "Well, that's because you don't tell me anything." I just love that because that is his nature. He tries to tell people that he's not the kind of guy that wants to get up all in their business, but that's exactly who Harvey is. He wants to know everything about everybody and will share it around, but he likes to be depended on as well.
Yeah, mine comes off the back of Jim saying a very prophetic thing, which is, I don't think Gotham is going to run out of monsters anytime soon. Saving Gotham isn't my responsibility anymore. He goes, "I can leave when I want. I don't need to listen to Captain Barnes anymore. And I can get drunk when I want." And Harvey Bullock replies, "What's to say I don't get drunk when I want?" Absolutely pure Harvey Bullock. Again, it is a good nod to the idea, because it was hinted at in season 1 quite a lot, certainly in the first 12 episodes. He had his Pepto-Bismol, all this kind of stuff. That, he had a problem with drink. He then went and opened up his bar, but he stopped drinking with that. And it kind of had pulled back from looking at his drinking, as maybe as a storyline or a plot or something like that. And it's good to see it back here because it really does. It is a proper throw to the comic character of Harvey Bullock. I mean, he does suffer with demons, he suffers with insubordination, and he suffers with drink, and that's a huge part of his character. So hopefully we might see this come back again.
Yeah.
In a meaningful way as well.
Definitely.
But I suspect maybe it might just be a little nod and a reference.
Nice little gag. Still our Harv. And remember,
absolutely,
for next week, if you want to send in any of the Harvey Bullock quotes from the episode for episode 2, you'll be entered into the prize to win our own little Pop Harvey. After episode 11, we'll be pulling a name out of the hat to win the prizes. That's just the first one that we have so far. There will be some more joining the prize pack, I'd say, by episode 11.
I would think so.
With that, I think it's on to a few notes about the episode, John.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, it's surprising we haven't covered some of these maybe in our 5 points, but I mean, I suspect we'll give them a good old seeing to here as well. We see the escapees. This is my first one. We see Man-Bat. That was very, very, very cool because definitely. To begin with, I was thinking, is he just going to have this black cape on? And, they was doing the kind of the screeching noise that you would expect from a bat. But, the moment where he's hanging out the window, Jim's got hold of him around the ankles. Valerie Vale is there, and his full wings come out from his back. Absolutely superb.
Top
like,
quality.
really, really good. Really good, CGI. A really good nod to Man-Bat. In the same way that with Theo Galavan and Azrael, having the cape and so on. Again, it's just that nice little nod to the to Batman, without obviously, showing the Batman. And here we have Man-Bat.
Yeah.
We also have the Scaled Skin Man, or as I like to call him, Stegosaurus Man, because he looked like a Stegosaurus with those plates coming out of his back.
Yes.
We wondered
from the
whether,
pharmacy, right?
Yeah, from the pharmacy. Right at the start, we wondered whether he was Killer Croc,
Yes.
but he died, so no, he wasn't. And in fact, I think we did see another scaled kind of person, stood in the group around, Fish Mooney as well.
Yep.
When Fish was interrogating Miss Peabody or Ivy Pepper. So we still think that the Killer Croc is there.
Yes.
And
Or coming.
All coming, and we hope he is. We hope he's not going to be put on a moratorium because he's in the DC universe on film. I really hope we see Killer Croc in Gotham. I think that would be very cool.
I was convinced that this was the Killer Croc of Gotham, that this was going to be that character, and then he gets killed in his Final Destination way with the truck taking him out on the side of the road. A great little start to the episode as well.
There is Marv, which obviously has the cool power of being able to age people. Then there's the blonde lady who came in and really disrupted Jim and took with one of the others, took Ethel Peabody from a safe house.
I was trying to think what her power was. It seemed like she could jump around the room, like Nightcrawler in Marvel. If you know the Marvel
certainly,
comics.
it seemed to be that way. And just another shout out there that this is where Jim gets the wrath of Captain Barnes, because effectively he plays into the hands of Fish Mooney and takes her and her goons to the safe house where Ethel Peabody is. And
it seemed like a weird plan. I know he's saying I don't care anymore because I'm not a cop, but you didn't need to lead them to Ethel. But, again, I suppose they put him through a lot of trouble. So if he had the opportunity, probably also lead them to Professor Strange as well. At the end of the day, Jim did get put through the ringer. So, Ethel's not the kind of person he would like. He doesn't seem to be the kind of guy that would let criminals off for squealing out of the criminals. That seems to be something that other people would do. Jim doesn't seem to be the kind of guy that would do that.
No.
Right. So I don't think he wants to create another Oswald in the city who's able to just trade information to get themselves out of jams. That doesn't seem to be something that Jim wants to allow. So I presume that's the reason why he didn't really care if Ethel did get taken or not. He was hoping he was just going to be able to stop them and find Fish and get the $1 million. So, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But really cool to see a lot of these characters. We didn't really talk about the Bruce Doppelganger at all either, and he is also one of the characters. I think the reason why I don't think it made points for me is because we're going to see him a lot more throughout the season.
I would say so. But I like the interaction. I like the fact that he's there, he's a presence there. I love the interaction with him and Ivy. She actually thought that it was Bruce Wayne, and she was going like, he was acting really odd and looked different, like he had long hair. But I loved how Ivy delivers that. And I think that's one of the great things, just to bring it back to Claire Foley's take on Ivy. I really enjoyed this kind of absence that she kept with the character, that, she knew it was Bruce, but there was something different, but I didn't really think about it too much. I thought that was really good, but I like that. I like the fact that, the doppelganger was spying on Selina. I like the fact that kind of the two Bruce Waynes have come to Selina. The doppelganger sort of spying on her after she's been kind to him, but Bruce, after he's come back from Switzerland, is their first port of call after the boardroom is Selina Kyle. So, he knows that the doppelganger knows that she is important to his lookalike, in Bruce Wayne. And of course, he finds out and knows the name now as well. And that's the other important thing that Ivy dropped, before she dropped into the sewers, was that, was the name of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And so the doppelganger knows that. He can start to, find out where he lives. And maybe with, the kidnap of Bruce Wayne by Talon, then he's going to show up at Wayne Manor and be mistaken.
You never know. You never know.
I suspect that might be how it rolls.
Turn up with a little haircut and become part of Team Good Guy. My final note on the episode is concerning Selina. I just thought it was my little Batman shout out for the episode. I just thought the call from Selina that she would love to go to Italy and eat pizza every day was a nice little touch, because at the end of Dark Knight Rises, if any of you remember, Selina does actually end off with Bruce in Italy at a restaurant. So
she does.
I like that little touch. I thought it was a nice little reference to the fact that that's where she would love to end off after being in Gotham for years.
Absolutely. And when you said that, I immediately thought of when Ivy falls into the sewer. The way it looked, all this water rushing past, it reminded me then of Batman Begins and Scarecrow pouring all of the fear, poison or serum into the sewers, ready to be sort of weaponized. Yeah. And I just thought, not only has Marv touched her, but is there something in the sewer? Sewers play an important role in Gotham, in Batman.
Yeah.
You know, they're dark, they're seedy, and the monsters lurk within. And I love that idea of it. So I just wondered whether Marv's, touch, along with maybe some form of chemicals, in the water, ultimately lead to not only her aging, but maybe the green hair, some other attributes.
You never know. Yeah. We will find out in
Absolutely.
the next episode. I think overall that's our episode discussion of Gotham Season 3, Episode 1. So good to be back talking about Gotham again.
Definitely, yeah. I would certainly give this 3.5 Babs and Tabs out of 5.
Interesting.
I thought it was a good first episode. It had a lot to do, in fairness to it. It really did work its socks off to, reintroduce everyone to the characters, tell them what had happened in the last 6 months, where they were up to, get rid of some characters, introduce new characters, and just start to bring us and introduce us anyway into Season 3, and this first half of Season 3 with Mad City. So, this had a lot of through storylines being introduced here. Bruce, going after the Court of Owls, Fish and a Quest, Jim and his new role in Gotham, at least at this moment in time, the new bar with Cyrus and Oswald, catching, or absolutely obsessed and desperate to catch, Fish Mooney. So a lot going on here.
Definitely.
And I thought it did it really well. And I think for me, the standout here was definitely, the Babs, Tabs and Butch, and the whole interaction there. It was just really, really good.
Yeah.
And I think we say a fond farewell to, Claire Foley as Ivy Pepper.
Yeah.
And also to say thank you, for Ethel Peabody, who was great as the right-hand lady to Hugo Strange, in Season 2.
Lots of goodbyes.
So, lots of goodbyes as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, for me, this episode really did stand out. I did enjoy it. It's a great little opener. One of the things I loved and noticed pretty quickly in the episode was the handoffs between characters. I love that we started off with Jim going off to see Lee, and then Jim comes to Harv. Then Oswald arrives at the station, so he's handing off then to Butch, and then Butch hands it off to Selina, and then it goes into the Bruce Doppelganger.
Yeah.
And that's your full first quarter hour of the show. I loved that it just handed around the city, just kind of going, this isn't just a show about one character, this is a show about the city of Gotham. That it was really well written and really well directed to keep that pace going.
Yeah, it was. It dealt with a lot, and it was very well written.
Yeah. I'm excited to get back into Season 3. And listeners, thank you so much for joining us again, and joining us for the first time, if it is your first time joining Gotham TV Podcast.
Absolutely. Remember, you can find us at gothamtvpodcast.com/iTunes. Subscribe, leave a review, listen to us there. And of course, you can listen to us on any other good podcast catcher by searching Gotham TV Podcast, in any of those apps. And of course, for the competition to win the Funko Pop Harvey Bullock. Please send in your Bullockisms. You can send it at feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com by email.
So we got a little bit of feedback in for episode 1. Obviously, it's our first episode back, so feedback hopefully will build up across the season. If you want to send in your feedback, you can email us to feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com, or obviously go on our website, gothamtvpodcast.com, click the send voicemail button on the right of the screen, and you can record your audio for our podcast. Our first bit of feedback, and our only bit of feedback for this week, comes in from the ever-loving Daniel Butcher. Friend of the show.
Absolutely. Thank you, Daniel, so much. And of course, he did leave special instructions in the subject line. Don't open until whenever you catch up. So here we go. Yeah, absolutely. Daniel goes on to say, I really like Ivy's aging. It's getting worked into the story instead of just swapped actresses in front of us. Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. It's really nice that they have integrated this transmorphication or morphing into an older Ivy Pepper, that it's been worked into the story through the aging hands of Marv. They're really good. Completely agree with you here. Absolutely. He goes on to say, honestly, I kept saying, hey, don't I know her? Haven't I seen her before? To see how she aged makes sense for me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. It was one of the concerns I had coming into the show. They aren't going to just recast her as a 5-year older character. I'm so glad they didn't. Definitely a good choice.
Yeah. Daniel goes on to say, Jim, sometimes I feel like you lack growth. But hey, the way he picks up jobs, he'll be running a Tesco soon. Seriously, he's had every job but commissioner. Definitely. Like, he's bounty hunter. Certainly from this episode, I'm kind of thinking, you know, when will Valerie sort of come under his spell? He is a gigolo. He's everything. He really is just so busy. Multitasking.
And you can tell Daniel spent some time in the UK with the
Tesco reference. Absolutely. I was just thinking that. Although Tesco did own something in the States, but it failed miserably. And they had to pull out.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. For all your Tesco news, please follow the Tesco podcast, not ours.
And then Daniel finally goes on to say, Fish, I like supervillain Fish more than gangster Fish, but what I really love is the Penguin Riddler bromance, where one can be reminded penguins eat fish. Butch, you broken-hearted true romantic, I weep for you. Agent Daniel is a hot mess.
I love it. Even if you can't get hot mess into Welcome to Level 7 podcast anymore, Daniel, you can always be fair and free to say it on our podcast. Yeah, I think you've probably had a moment in your life just like poor little Butch here. Probably didn't have someone go round to your ex-girlfriend's new business trying to get it broken up and kill her. But yeah, I know, poor Butch, poor Drew Powell.
Yeah, Daniel, I think Butch is also a hot mess with you. He is certainly pining after that little kitty Tabitha. And of course, yeah, I completely agree. I really like Villain Fish here. I also like the fact that there is that slight kind of crossover or evolution of the Villain Fish from Gangster Fish. As you say, I've now got a vision of like the fish tank in someone's house with fish, with guns and so on, and little eye
gangster
patches.
hat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I like the fact that, you know, when she was first touted as this new villain, this new character in the world of Gotham, it was explained that she had this perception of other people about what they would do. She had kind of like this other kind of ability to perceive what people would do before they did it.
Yeah.
Like more of an intuition thing rather than an actual superpower. But that now that has to some extent become her superpower in that she can get them to tell her that. So I, you know, what they're going to do, what their real thoughts are. So I really like that kind of evolution of her original kind of ability, if if it were.
Yeah.
Really good. And of course, the bromance is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Brotastic, in fact.
Nig Mobblepot lives. Yes, definitely. Thanks so much for that feedback, Daniel. And obviously anybody else that wants to send us in feedback, again, email us to feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com.
Or join our group at facebook.com/groups/Gotham TV podcast.
Absolutely.
And you can leave all your thoughts and discussions about any of the episodes of Gotham or the season 3 so far, in the group. And we will also, shout that out on our feedback section.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for joining us again. We'll be back again next week with episode 2 of Gotham season 3.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back again next time. Speak with you next time. Bye.
I'm going to go and get drunk.
Me too. It's the way to do things in the new Gotham.
Thanks for being a Butch supporter. Butch loves you, baby.